My girlfriend, during an argument, told me that she should choose her ex instead of me. It hurt me, but I walked away without saying a single word. I sat in my car and didn't look back even once. She thought I was just messing around, but when she finally called, what she told me while crying was unbelievable to me. My name is Trevor, and I'm a 29-year-old structural engineer at a mid-sized firm in Denver. I've always been the type who keeps his head down, works hard, and doesn't ask for much. My job isn't glamorous. I spend most of my days reviewing blueprints, running calculations, and doing site inspections for commercial buildings. But it pays well, and I'm good at it. I've been with my company for 6 years, worked my way up from junior engineer to project lead. I'm proud of what I've built. I was with Lauren for 3 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue back in the summer of 2021. She was standing by the grill, laughing at something someone said, and I was immediately drawn to her. She had this energy, spontaneous, vibrant, always the center of attention. I'm quieter, more calculated. I think things through. She was the opposite. We started dating a week later, and for the first year, everything felt perfect. She worked in marketing for a tech startup downtown, one of those trendy companies with ping pong tables and kombucha on tap. She made decent money, somewhere around $60,000 a year, but she spent like she was making twice that. Designer bags, weekend trips to Aspen and Vail, brunches that cost more than my weekly groceries. At first, I didn't mind. I made good money, around $95,000 a year, and I wanted her to be happy. I'd pick up the tab at dinners, surprise her with gifts, cover her half of the rent when she was short. But over time, I started noticing things. She'd get defensive when I mentioned budgets. She'd roll her eyes when I suggested cooking at home instead of going out for the 4th time that week. And she had this ex, Brian, who kept popping up in conversation like a ghost I couldn't shake. Brian and I used to go to this place, she'd say. Or, Brian always knew the best wine. Little comments that felt like needles under my skin. I told myself I was being insecure. She was with me, not him. That should have been enough. The argument happened on a Thursday night in late September. We were supposed to go to her coworker's birthday party at some rooftop bar downtown. I'd had a brutal day at work. Site inspections ran late because the contractor had screwed up the foundation measurements, and I'd spent 3 hours in the rain fixing their mistakes. I was soaked, exhausted, and all I wanted was to go home, take a hot shower, and collapse on the couch. I called Lauren around 6:30. Hey babe, I'm not going to make it tonight. Work ran late, and I'm wiped. There was a pause. Are you serious? Yeah. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Trevor, I told Kelsey we'd both be there. You're making me look bad. I'm not trying to make you look bad. I'm just exhausted. You're always exhausted. You never want to do anything anymore. I felt the irritation rising. That's not fair. I work hard so we can afford to do things. We? You mean so you can afford things? I pay my own way. That stung. She didn't pay her own way. Not really. I'd been covering her for months. Rent, dinners, trips. But I didn't want to fight, so I let it go. Lauren, I just need one night. Please. Whatever. I'll go by myself. She hung up before I could respond. I drove home, feeling guilty but also annoyed. I thought she'd cool off, that we'd talk it out later. I was wrong. She showed up at my apartment around 8, letting herself in with the spare key I'd given her. I was on the couch in sweatpants, watching a game. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, still in her party dress. You couldn't even try, she said. Lauren, I told you. You never want to do anything anymore. You've gotten boring. I'm not boring. I'm tired. There's a difference. Brian would have come. I stopped. My stomach dropped. What did you just say? She didn't back down. Her jaw was set, eyes hard. I said Brian would have shown up. He always made an effort. I felt something crack inside my chest. Then maybe you should have chosen him instead of me. She stared at me for a long moment. I thought she'd apologize, maybe realize how far she'd pushed it. Instead, she said, maybe I should have. The words hung in the air like smoke. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just stood up, grabbed my keys off the counter, and walked past her. She called after me, but I didn't stop. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove. I didn't look back. Not once. Update 1. I ended up at a 24-hour diner on the edge of town, the kind with cracked vinyl booths, flickering fluorescent lights, and coffee that tasted like burnt rubber. I sat there for 2 hours, staring at my phone, waiting for her to call. She didn't. I ordered pancakes I didn't eat and left a 20 on the table. Around midnight, I went home. Her car was gone. Her overnight bag, the one she kept at my place, was gone too. I figured she went to her friend Haley's apartment. She always did when we fought. I went to bed angry, but more than that, I felt hollow. Empty. The next morning, Friday, I woke up to 17 missed calls and a dozen texts. All from Lauren. The messages were frantic, desperate. Trevor, please pick up. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Please. I need to talk to you. Trevor, please. I'm begging you. I ignored them and went to work. I wasn't ready to deal with it. But around noon, while I was sitting in my truck reviewing some site plans, she called again. I stared at her name on the screen for 3 rings before I answered. What? Trevor. Her voice was wrecked, raw, like she'd been crying for hours. Please. I need to see you. I don't think that's a good idea right now. I'm pregnant. The words hit me like a wrecking ball. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my mind completely blank. What? I'm pregnant. I took 3 tests this morning. They're all positive. I couldn't breathe. How long have you known? I just found out. I swear, Trevor. I took the tests this morning after everything. I had no idea. Please. Can we talk? My hands were shaking. Yeah. Okay. I'll come by after work. The rest of the day was a blur. I couldn't focus on anything. A kid. We were going to have a kid. Despite everything. Despite the fight. Despite what she'd said. Part of me felt something shift. Maybe this would fix things. Maybe this was the wake-up call we both needed. Update 2. I got to her apartment around 6:30. She opened the door immediately, like she'd been waiting by it. Her eyes were red and swollen, her face blotchy. She pulled me into a hug, and I stood there, stiff, not sure what to feel. I'm so sorry, she whispered into my shoulder. What I said last night, it was horrible. I was just angry. I didn't mean any of it. I don't even talk to Brian anymore. I swear. We sat on her couch. She showed me the tests, all 3 of them lined up on the coffee table like evidence in a trial. 3 pink lines. Positive. 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 I don't know what to do, she said, her voice small. I'm terrified. We'll figure it out, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it. We'll figure it out together. She cried. I held her. And for the first time in 24 hours, I felt like maybe we'd be okay. Over the next 2 weeks, things seemed better. She was softer, more affectionate. She stopped going out as much. We started talking about the future, baby names, nursery colors, whether we'd move in together officially or look for a bigger place. She even apologized again, unprompted, while we were making dinner one night. I was awful to you, she said, chopping vegetables at the counter. Bringing up Brian like that. It was cruel. I'm sorry. It's okay, I said, though part of me still wasn't sure if it was. I was cautiously optimistic. I thought maybe this was a new chapter for us. But then, on a Tuesday in mid-October, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I was at a job site, wearing my hard hat, reviewing some rebar placement with the foreman. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Is this Trevor? Yeah. Who's this? This is Brian. My blood went cold. I walked away from the foreman, out of earshot. What do you want? I think we need to talk. About Lauren. I'm not interested in whatever game you're. She's lying to you, man. About the baby. My heart started pounding. What are you talking about? Just meet me. Tonight. I'll explain everything. I have proof. He gave me the address of a bar in Lodo, one of those dimly lit places with exposed brick and craft beer on tap. I told him I'd be there. I didn't tell Lauren. Update 3. Brian was already sitting at a booth when I arrived around 8. He looked exactly like I expected, tall, clean-cut, square jaw, the kind of guy who probably played lacrosse in college and still talked about it. He was wearing a button-down and jeans, sipping a beer. I sat down across from him, arms crossed. Talk. He didn't waste time. He slid his phone across the table. On the screen was a text thread between him and Lauren. Recent. From 2 days ago. Lauren, I told him. He believes it. Brian, you sure this is a good idea? Lauren, he'll take care of everything. I just need him to think it's his. Brian, and if it's not? Lauren, then I'll figure it out. But he makes good money. He's stable. You're not. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I couldn't breathe. What the hell is this? She's been seeing me on and off for the past 6 months, Brian said, his voice even, almost sympathetic. She told me she was going to break up with you, but then she found out she was pregnant. She panicked. She doesn't know if it's yours or mine, but she figured you'd be the safer bet. Her words, not mine. I couldn't speak. I just stared at the phone. Keep scrolling, he said. I did. There were dozens of messages. Pictures of them together, at bars, at his apartment, in his car. Her complaining about me. How I was boring. How I didn't spend enough money on her. How Brian made her feel alive. How she missed the excitement. There was a photo from 3 weeks ago. She was in his bed, smiling at the camera. Why are you telling me this? I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Because I'm not going to be her plan B anymore, he said. And you shouldn't be either. You seem like a decent guy. You don't deserve this. I stood up without saying another word. I forwarded the entire conversation to myself, handed him back his phone, and left. Final update. I drove straight to Lauren's apartment. It was almost 10 at night. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I felt nauseous. She answered the door in her pajamas, looking confused. Trevor? What are you doing here? I thought you had work stuff tonight. I held up my phone, showing her the screenshots Brian had sent me. Her face went white. Completely white. Explain. Trevor, Explain. Now. She tried. God. She tried. She cried. She said it was a mistake, that she'd been confused, that Brian manipulated her, that she loved me, that the baby was definitely mine. She grabbed my arm, begging me not to leave. I want a paternity test, I said, pulling away. Trevor, please. Now? Or I'm done. You hear me? We're done. She agreed, sobbing. We went to a clinic the next day. The whole thing took maybe 20 minutes, a cheek swab, some paperwork, and then we waited. The results would take about a week. In that time, I moved all her stuff out of my apartment. Every piece of clothing, every toiletry, every little thing she'd left over the 3 years we were together. I packed it all into boxes and left it outside her door. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't see her. I told her through text that I needed space and that we'd talk after the results came back. When the results arrived, 7 days later, on a Tuesday afternoon, I opened them alone in my apartment. I was sitting at my kitchen table, hands trembling. The baby wasn't mine. Probability of paternity, 0%. I stared at the paper for a long time. Then I forwarded the results to Lauren without a message. She called immediately. I didn't answer. She called 12 more times. Then she started texting. Trevor, please. Let me explain. It was a mistake. I thought it was yours. I swear I thought it was yours. Please don't do this. I love you. Trevor, please. I blocked her number. Blocked Brian's too. 2 months later, I heard through mutual friends that she and Brian were trying to make it work. They lasted maybe 6 weeks before they broke up. Turns out, Brian wasn't as stable as she needed. Last I heard, she'd moved back in with her parents in Colorado Springs, working some remote marketing gig, still pregnant, still a mess. As for me, I threw myself into work. Got a promotion in January, senior project lead, which came with a $20,000 raise. I started seeing a therapist in February. Went twice a week for a while, then once a week. It helped. I started running again, something I'd stopped doing when I was with Lauren. I lost 15 pounds. I felt better. Clearer. I don't think about her much anymore. Some days I'm angry. Angry that I wasted 3 years. Angry that I almost got trapped. Angry that I believed her lies for so long. Most days, though, I'm just relieved. Relieved I found out when I did. Relieved I didn't marry her. Relieved I didn't raise a kid that wasn't mine. I dodged a bullet. A big one. And I'm not looking back. Edit 1. A few people asked if I ever confronted her face-to-face after the results. I didn't. I know some people think I should have, that I owed her that much, but honestly, what was there to say? The numbers didn't lie. She knew what she did. Edit 2. Brian reached out a few months ago to apologize for how everything went down. I didn't respond. I don't owe him anything. He knew she had a boyfriend and kept seeing her anyway. Edit 3. No, I'm not dating anyone right now. A few friends have tried to set me up, but I'm not ready. I'm focusing on myself, my career, my health, my peace of mind. Maybe one day I'll try again. But not today.